Right.
Excellent. Cats are wonderful. I have 3 of them in my home.
They love to get in the camera, so.
Yes. Camera, food, their own shit, which is part of the reason why I often don't pick them up as much as perhaps I would. I love them, like I love to be around them, but just knowing that their feet are in actual shit, it deters me. Like I know that they crawl around in the shit and like put their paws all in the shit. Are we rolling?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, this is how we're going to start it, I think.
And cut.
Yep, I think we're just going to roll into it like that. What's up, guys? It's Bread and Circuses.
Bread and Circuses. What's up, guys?
I'm Caleb Salvatore, as you guys know.
Yeah, and I'm Nick Kohler, and we have Tim Locklear here with us here today.
How
It's our
are
guest.
He's got a bigger beard than Caleb. That's all you need to know. So,
well,
that's not really saying much.
He's got a much better facial hair than I do, as I cannot grow.
I developed my hair follicles. Yes.
It's funny because Nick and I used to work together, and whenever people would come in, we were the only 2 guys in the whole building. So whenever people would come in and want us, if they wanted me, they'd ask for the guy with the hair.
It'd be like if it was Caleb, it'd be like the guy with the hair and beard, and if it was me, it was the bald guy.
Yeah, basically that's what we were demeaned to.
I enjoyed having my head shaved. I had it shaved for almost 2 years, and I loved it. And I actually I didn't just shave my head; I shaved my face as well every day, and it was not a good look for me. I kind of looked like a leukemia patient.
Or
a rebel, or like an angry Sinead or Connor, or like a Britney Spears. It was not a good look. It looked bad. Because and my eyes are already kind of sunken in, So it was bad. It looked ill. But the benefit was I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and so when you're doing that, you don't get your hair stepped on or messed with or messed up, and so I didn't have to worry about that. But I promptly grew it back out to look much more healthy.
There you go. Smart.
I was going to say the combination of no beard and no hair on top of your head plus really like deep eyeshadows just makes you look like a heroin addict. So
that's exactly what it was. It was either that or the heroin I was using at the time.
Yeah.
Think he's joking. Not sure. Not sure.
I haven't done heroin in months. It's a hell of a drug. I mean, imagine the number of people who have been intoxicated by that. I see these videos on Instagram all the time of the faders, these zombies that are just like sitting in the city streets, and I wonder when it's going to hit Omaha, if it ever will.
It's terrible. I mean, Nick.
Well,
Nick has a frown.
No, I'm just like,
he frowns.
I don't know if all the people in Omaha are able to afford heroin. They're always just doing meth, is what it seems.
Yeah, meth is. I mean, it's all once. Here's my thing with drugs, right? You've got like the shit that grows in the ground that you can pick up and it'll get you high right away. You got weed, you got psychedelic stuff like that. I think that's the bottom tier, right? Then you got party drugs like Coke and Molly. And then by the time you're at heroin, crack, or meth, you're kind of just at the gold standard. It doesn't really fucking matter at that point.
Well, I think something needs to be said for MDMA. Recently, MAPS, the multiple discipline, I don't know how, MAP at PPS.
Yeah.
Google it. They've done research on individuals with trauma.
Yeah.
Dude, MDMA has proven to change people's life. One dose will have people like quitting a substance they were addicted to, or changing their life. Like, it was a big thing. And as much as I in no way, shape, or form endorse Goop or anything that ridiculous Gwyneth Paltrow human being does, she's peculiar in my opinion. But my wife and I were watching a thing that they did last night on psychedelics, and how it's like a resurgence, and how MAPS is taking it in the mainline. And then Gwyneth Paltrow sent 3 of her employees to this camp in somewhere in Mexico where they took MDMA and like had their life. And these were just like staff members. These weren't people that were like super woke or anything. They just it was interesting. So MDMA is a party drug, but it's also making a resurgence like mushrooms are.
I've never done MDMA. Is it just
Seriously?
a pill or?
Oh man, it can be taken in a variety of different ways. Just much like any pharmaceutical synthetic, you can take it in liquid form. You can take it in a capsule. The problem right now, at least according to the individuals that I know who have taken the bold step into continuing to use it right now, is that a lot of it's cut with fentanyl.
Oh,
and it's bad. And so the problem is there's an organization called Dance Safe.
mm-hmm.
That I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they're really great. Look them up, Google them, follow them, because they have great resources for people who want to use these substances. They offer testing kits, they offer guides, they offer helps, and then when there's big festivals where they know individuals are going to be consuming these substances,
Mm-hmm.
they provide resources. They're there on site. They have like
Really?
safety aides who go
Wow.
and test your drugs for free. And it's like, this is what's happening. The problem is idiots like Governor Ricketts, he outlawed in Nebraska the use of these kits or the distribution of these, much like many other conservative, ridiculous states. They outlawed these testing kits, almost as if to say, we hope you die.
Basically.
Semicolon, don't take this stuff.
Basically. Like that's the thing, is it's like people are going to do it either way. That's ignorant to suggest that they won't. You might as well let them test it to see if it's safe.
Well, that's like the idea of having a safe consumption site, a place where an individual can safely consume the substances that they choose to consume.
Yeah.
Without any qualms or issues. There's places in Europe. I think
it's Portugal,
Portugal,
Switzerland, places like that. Yeah.
I was gonna say Switzerland. I didn't realize Portugal did that.
Portugal, yeah. A couple years ago, they decriminalized everything.
There it is. That's what he said.
Yeah.
I was wondering which one it was. I know it, and it was a peculiar country, like you said. But like at first, I heard Portugal, and I was like, wait, they're still around? Like that's still a country? Like I know I felt like an ignorant American, but it was like I guess I need to get more woke on my geography. I actually did look it up and looked up where it was at, what was near it, and the culture, and it's interesting. You know who else is up on the rise with money and things and drugs? And Singapore, bro.
I've heard about that. Yeah,
Singapore, because that gal was just recently on Joe Rogan.
I was listening to that this morning.
I shouldn't say that gal. It's so.
It's Melissa Chen or something like that. Yeah,
you're gonna mess it up. It's like. He just guessed on the Asian name and cringed.
I've heard
Melissa Chen. I was right.
Yeah, Melissa Chen.
I've heard Singapore is like they're the country that input a very, very successful like government housing program, aren't they?
They also are the company that canes you to death.
Yeah.
Dude, they have public hangings.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a big deal. Like they are. According to this gal, what's her name again?
Melissa Chen.
There it is. Thank you. Going forward, when Tim says gal, it is Melissa Chen. Insert audio clip later. Yeah. She said that like there were people who like graffiti. If you get caught doing graffiti, like you can get caned, and there was it happened to chewing gum. Chewing gum is illegal.
Chewing gum is illegal.
Some other kind of crazy shit is illegal. Like it's crazy the kind of control they have, but at the same time, she said on the podcast. Again, I'm not trying to, bite on his jazz there too much, but she said that they were average people, like low class people, not middle, but low, and they had housemaids.
Seriously,
growing up, like that's how rich and wealthy they were. So she's like the extra wealthy. She goes. By 16 or 17, most of them had Lamborghinis. They had their own homes. They had their own homes built onto the acreage that their family owns.
Holy
just
shit.
all wealthy. So, and they're also big into drugs.
How did that kick off? Was it drugs? Like the drug trade?
I think it was. I don't know. I actually have no idea.
I don't even know where Singapore is.
It's in Asia.
So look, I feel like I'm not as much of an idiot.
I know it's in Asia because that Crazy Rich Asians movie was there.
Yeah, I know it's in Southeast Asia. That's like the only thing I know about it.
But
I know the Japanese occupied it. That's about
the
it.
Chinese occupied it. Isn't it interesting how like all these other countries are taking these what many would consider to be woke steps towards advancement, development, growth, personal interest in their civilian population. Mm-hmm. But America, I mean, like we've been saying we're number one for a long time, but it seems like there's a lot of these things that we're getting passed up on.
Yeah.
Where we have all these sanctions and controls and laws and legislation that keeps it illegal. You can go to Jamaica and get special kind of stem cell that you can't get in America.
Yeah. I've heard the thing about Jamaica is they're super strict on tourists with weed.
Yeah.
Like they
don't like weed there.
The local,
that is actually
is what's funny. Yeah.
It's like it's everybody's like, oh, weed's legal there, right? No.
No.
Rastafarians are like under turmoil, man. They're constantly getting and mess with.
They'll specifically target tourists. You'll have undercover cops dressed up as drug dealers that'll come and they'll lock you, and you don't want to spend a weekend in a Jamaican prison.
No. Well, if you've ever been to Jamaica and gone off the like the resorts and stuff, you end up seeing like what real Jamaica is like anyway.
Just
so,
like like Cancun and stuff like that.
Is it a third world country technically?
I probably.
Is it now? Okay, here goes American stupid idiot. It's not American.
No, it's not.
No, it's not like an American territory or
no,
anything.
but it's
like,
its own thing.
Yeah.
And do we have any bases there?
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so.
We have a lot of bases everywhere. I was talking to Caleb earlier about this place called Djibouti, Africa.
And I've been there.
See, look. He said the horn. You said where? The horn? Yeah. And I said Djibouti, and he goes, I don't remember what he said. I wished he would have said something like, "No, your booty." He didn't. But yeah.
Djibouti's hilarious because when you go outside of the military area, all you see is just like rural poppy fields for miles.
Yeah.
That's
Heroin
all it
for
is.
days.
So there was this Vice
More
thing.
for like opium.
Yeah.
Right, opium. There's this Vice thing I seen about these Russians that go to these opium fields and they cut these little poppy things open and then squeeze it onto this cotton ball and do it over and over again over all these poppies, and then go back to the camp and take the cotton ball and put in alcohol and then distill it basically, and that's how they get their heroin.
Oof.
But it's like pure form heroin, and then they snort it.
Over in Africa, they have this thing that they call khat. So basically, they chew on the stems.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yes,
Yep.
isn't that the shit that the pirates were chewing and that they were addicted to and stuff?
Mhm.
Yeah, I seen that movie.
There's a YouTube channel that his goal is to go to like every country. I don't remember the name of it. He went to Yemen, like war-torn Yemen, where he wasn't supposed to be, and they were all on it. Yeah, it was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're really worried, like the governments there are really worried and about like the farmers there. They use all their land to grow fucking poppy instead of like actual like food or anything. They just use all the land there to grow drugs and
you know what? I think the reason for that, the reason that they are compelled to do that is because places that are quote unquote number one, like America, keep it illegal.
Yeah.
Well, it's worth more money to grow cotton than it is to grow like wheat.
Right.
It
Exactly.
is, yeah.
Exactly. There's a higher market.
And that I believe speaks to its the need for its decriminalization. Because if we've got people who live in basically mud huts, ankle deep in their own shit, living literally hand to mouth.
Yeah.
And they have an acre of fresh field and ample opportunity and skill to grow carrots and potatoes and shit. And they grow heroin.
Right.
Or they grow weed, or they grow cacao plants, or however the hell they get coke. Right. The pre-plant. What the hell's a pre-plant called anyway?
I don't know. I think you
the
had
coke
it right.
plant.
The coke
folks.
plant.
Come on, Google this shit. It's
the
2020.
crack tree.
The crack tree.
The booger sugar plant.
The booger
Yep.
sugar. Yes. So I mean, it just speaks to the fact that they're not completely idiots. They see first, and
they see the demand.
it's these rural people.
Yeah.
These people are out in the middle of nowhere, which speaks to the impact of illegal drugs. DRUHGZZ drugs. The fact that me talking about it right now might offend somebody is indicative of the very problem.
Probably not our listeners, but
Probably
yeah.
not. But people still might ask her. They might still get upset.
Yeah.
I wonder if those countries just know that they can like import all their food, so they're like, "Well, we don't need food. Let's just make
or get it airdropped by the UN." Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Or get it. Oh, here goes. Preach.
What's that?
He said airdrop by the UN.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in essence, we're subsidizing the production.
The drug
of
trade, right?
Yeah.
Indirectly, basically.
What I'm trying to say, folks, is we need community.
We need community with Yemen.
Do you remember the pictures? Those pictures from years ago with U.S. troops in Afghanistan, like guarding poppy fields.
Oh yeah, dude.
I always love saying that word because that's my girlfriend's dog's name.
Poppy fields.
Poppy.
Oh, what a weird name, Poppy Fields.
I know, right?
Full name Poppy Fields, short for Poppy.
I don't know if they were doing that. Like, I
and who knows? It could be completely out of context too.
Yeah, well, the thing was like that's what the militias were using over there to fund like a lot of their militia stuff. So like they might have just been that the U.S. forces kicked them out of there and were like trying to prevent them from retaking it to sell it or something.
It could
I
be,
don't
yeah.
know.
Well, that's what
So
those Blackwater guys got all jacked up on, wasn't it?
those Blackwater guys jacked up a lot of shit.
there was an adequate amount of cocaine production consumption around the contractor compound. I was in when we were in Kirkuk, we often had interactions with individuals who were and turns out selling us cocaine. So there was definitely cocaine on the compound.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah. I was a really great soldier, except for that part of like abstaining from things they didn't want me to do. I was like, if you're gonna give me a fucking saw and I'm gonna go have to kick indoors and say hello to motherfuckers, I gotta have something because I'm not sleeping and I'm not staying awake. One of the two things needs to happen. So,
you know, one thing I've always like thought in my head.
Really fucking dark there. I
No, one thing I've always thought in my head was like, man, back in World War II, soldiers were being given like wine and beer.
Yes.
Yeah.
And cigarettes in their rations and shit.
Yeah, you have to when you're deployed, man. You got to get somebody to send that shit in some shampoo bottles
or Listerine, dog. You get that gold Listerine and fill it with brandy.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say just drink mouthwash. I'm like, that's peak homeless man alcohol.
What we would do actually with the mouthwash when that's all we had is we'd freeze it, and then all the alcohol goes to the top and all the color goes to the bottom, or one or the other.
Oh, really?
And then they just separates, and then we get. Yeah,
that's some strong shit.
Shitty on rubbing alcohol,
dude. There's just when you're overseas, man. Like, even just like one beer, dude, will seriously turn your spirits around.
Or like you smoke a cigarette real fast, you know, like you go, you take a big shit, and then smoke a cigarette real fast, and do a couple push-ups, and you're like, whoa, I'm high. Oh, what's that sound? Pew pew. Boom. Fuck, I'm still at war. One time we got a hold of some salvia that they had given us. And bro,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I don't know if for any of your listeners that are familiar with that psychedelic, but you should definitely try it.
You should definitely try it.
You should, because it's super duper short and it's safe and it's natural.
Yeah.
As long as it's not that synthetic shit. But anyway, we got a hold of it, and it was 2008. So I don't know if it was like good or not. But
when did you get out of the military, Tim?
I got out in 2009. So I got out almost right after my deployment. In fact, I was medevaced out, and those injuries ended up ending my military career.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But the salvia, it helped. Like, it was it helped me like forget that I was there.
Mm-hmm.
And except for it lasted like 13 seconds. So I was like, fuck, I'm still at war.
I hate to go Rogan, but have you ever tried DMT?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Never have.
One of the most amazing experiences I have had was on an experience with a substance compound called 5-MeO-DMT, which is commonly referred to colloquially as the toad.
Okay, I've heard of that. Yep.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that too. That was like a thing in like the 90s or some shit, wasn't it?
You know, it made a resurgence in the 90s in the fact that it was an what's the word here? It wasn't categorized. It wasn't unscheduled substance. So you could buy buckets of it from places that were synthesizing it, and you could buy a synthetic version, and it worked. It's commonly referred to as the God molecule because everyone that has an experience with consuming the vapor of this toad or a synthetic version of this, which is an identical compound, they've just got it in a laboratory so that they're not milking a toad. For those of you that don't know, what they do is they take the 4 limbs of a toad and they pin it up, and they catch this, a Sonoran desert toad. There's other kinds of toads that contain the similar venom. Right. And then they hold a piece of glass in front of this toad, and then they squeeze it. And what happens is this venom squirts out onto the glass, and then they take the glass and they let it sit out in the sun, and it creates these little flakes, and then they vaporize those flakes on a hot rock or like a stone. In our case, we used an actual vape pen where there was like synthetic measured and put inside of it, and it was amazing. I can definitely say that I cannot be an atheist after that experience.
That's cool.
Yeah, and everyone that has that has a similar experience. They say the same thing.
I want to go back because I don't really know a whole lot about MDMA. What is the chemical structure of it, and is it found in any other like foods or any other natural like things? Like, what is MDMA found in?
So I'm first going to say I am a complete idiot when it comes to this, and you should Google this. Yeah,
got it.
I mean, literally Google it, and there are people. I would first say Google Maps.
Google here.
MAPPS, I think it is, or MAPSS.
Yeah.
But Google Maps, and Maps has intense data about MDMA, what it is, where it came from, how it's structured, how it works, how it doesn't. They have double, triple blind studies about it. They have all the research about where it came from. But I just heard on a podcast with Joe Rogan and Brian Redband where they were discussing, or no, maybe it was Duncan Trussell, but they were discussing where it came from, and it actually came from some kind of root in some Amazonian tree. Like that was the first place they found it, somewhere in the 70s, is where they first discovered it, and then it became synthesized, known as ecstasy. So now we have this synthetic version, which, see, there's a big issue with a lot of people who are like, I'm cool with natural, but when you get into synthetic, it sounds druggy, it sounds pharmaceutically. Yeah. And the difficulty with that idea or that thought process is that a lot of these compounds are very, very difficult and taxing on the nature you get it from. For instance, a fucking toad.
Right.
Like you're draining the white stuff from a toad. It's probably messing with it.
Probably just throwing the toad at the wall in the trash can,
Synthetic is, if you went to high school, in my school, synthetic is a scary word. We had a kid who overdosed and died on synthetic acid. And then the kid who shot this, because I went to Millard South, the kid who shot the school up was on spice back when that was a thing.
Too,
so synthetic weed. Yeah.
So, and that's the thing is here's a fun fact about acid or lysergic acid or, hey, hang on there, puppy dog.
My dog
walking away with my dog here with my cord. Like LSD, as it's known, is actually from ergot. Okay. And ergot is a root or basically like a mold that grows. Mm-hmm. So back in the day, we had this prison LSD that you used to make. Yeah. Where, am I allowed to say how you make it? It's super simple.
Oh yeah. So we don't endorse it. That's all.
Yeah. Don't do this, don't.
Purely informational.
Purely
educational. This is an educational.
That's right. Yeah. You chew bubble gum, like big bubblicious, 3 or 4 big pieces of it, and then you take an orange, you peel it, and you take the orange peels, and you get a nice little square. And you take the bubble gum after it's chewed and all the flavors out, and you put it on top of this, and you roll it up, and you put it in a bag, and you bury it in the dirt. You come back like a week later, and all this mold is on top. Oh. So you scrape all the mold off, and you go back, and you bury it. And you do this for like 3 or 4 different times, and by the time you come back, that gum has just emulsified into this orange, and when you peel it back, there's this special layer underneath that's like green and yellow, and you pick it, you eat it, and it makes you trip. And in essence, that's ergot, with how the similar product, how they make it. So it was a seed back in the day.
It's a lot of dedication.
I almost wish Zach was here, because like I always think sometimes maybe like the dudes that wrote the Bible were just like tripping out on this shit. Like somehow, like they were eating like a salad or something, and by mistake they were just like seeing God or something by accident without knowing it.
I mean, if you look at like different religions, like the Prophet Muhammad, when he started to levitate and stuff like that, there's a lot of evidence to suggest that he was on some type of psychedelic, and that wasn't
the burning bush,
experience.
Man. Yeah, it was an acacia bush, which contains the most DMT in nature.
Yeah,
and then so it just happens to be. Funny thing, one other thing about LSD is this guy named Albert Hofmann in 1955, 54. He's the one that synthesized it, and he didn't know what he had. He was actually trying to come up with a drug for autism for kids. Yeah. And had found this drug to be very effective. Yeah. Got a bunch on his hands, rode his bicycle. Everybody, I don't know if everybody's familiar with that. You should Google the story of Albert Hofmann and the bicycle. There's actually a National Bicycle Day to celebrate the creation of it. And it's, I believe, still to this day, it's a beautiful compound, and when used in a micro way can help therapeutically in ways that I think many other substances couldn't. That being said, I'd rather see someone imbibing psilocybin or a synthetic DMT or something that's much more rooted in nature versus the LSD, although it's a valuable tool.
So that's another thing I hear a lot, but I've never really heard explained. You got to explain microdosing.
Definitely.
I hear that term all the time, but I've never really what is that?
So the term microdosing literally is just taking small doses. So like a full dose Again, this is just for recreation. This is just a discussion.
Educational.
Educational.
Educational
Educational.
discussion. We're not
Also, I'm
encouraging
a stand-up
anything.
comedian, so anything and everything I say is a
Yeah,
joke.
it's all a role we play. We're all
Absolutely.
comedians. So
Well, even though a lot of people, like, that's the reason we're even having this discussion, is like a lot of people, microdosing of certain drugs is shown to help like brain injuries and
Absolutely.
stuff. So,
for instance, TBI and PTSD, which I've been diagnosed with both of these things and was trying to find a substance that would help. And so the term microdosing means, so for instance, if somebody was to take a dose that was going to cause them to feel psychedelic effects, so the classic psychedelic effects of visuals, altered sense of smell, taste, having experiences like seeing colors that aren't there, or hearing numbers, or seeing music, or feeling like you're one with the universe. I encourage everyone to read Michael Pollan's book on the issue. I forget the name of it. It's Think Big.
what's his name? Michael.
Michael Pollan.
I'll figure it out.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not his most recent book, which is really good on caffeine. It's the one right before it. Think Open Think.
Let's see here. I got Michael Pollan.
Right there, that one.
How to Change Your Mind.
How to Change Your Mind.
There you go.
Thank you, Caleb.
What the new science of psychedelics teaches us about consciousness.
I think everyone should listen to that twice and then read it, because it's an amazing book on just the experience alone, because he's a phenomenal writer. He does a way better job at explaining all the science in a much less convoluted way than I'm doing right now. Regardless,
we need it explained in the bro way. So.
I do. I'm a bit of a bro. Yeah, I've got the beard. I've got the guns and the dogs. And yes. So a good dose of somebody that wants to feel the psychedelic effects of psilocybin mushrooms, that would say 1 to 2 grams.
Right.
You're going to feel effects. You're going to classically what's referred to as trip, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas 0.5, 0.4, 0.8 even, in conjunction with some other compounds like turkey tail, lion's mane, cordyceps, cordialis. These are all legal mushrooms that you can purchase and buy, and they're all amazing. Ashwagandha, kava kava, holy basil, turmeric, 5-HTP, theanine, glutamine, tyrosine. You take all these in conjunction together, and you can have a tertiary experience. So like the first experience would be complete sobriety under influence of nothing. The second influence would be complete and total intoxication, 1 to 2 grams. Right. So we're looking for this third experience that is in between there. And that's what you're trying to get. And on a schedule, you can actually regulate mood. So people who are bipolar have found incredible benefits from following Hoffman's method. So that's what it's referred to if you're Googling it. Basically, every 3 days, you take a half a gram. And the first day, you do nothing. The second day, you observe and you write. The third day, you prepare your mind for day 4. And then day 4, you're taking your second dose for the week, for the month. And you're doing this over a full 30-day period to see how your body feels. It's been amazing science behind it for veterans, for rape victims, for just people who have the effects of living around all these humans.
That was my follow-up question. There's a lot of evidence to support mushroom use for PTSD treatment.
Definitely.
How does that work? Like, how does that help people who have seen traumatic shit?
So my encouragement, there's a book by Peter Levine. I apologize.
You're good.
I keep making all these references.
I think it goes to how the chemical interacts with your brain in small dosages, because PTSD is like a physiological problem with your brain. Like it's the whatever part of your brain that regulates like fear and stuff, like getting bigger. So you just got to shrink it.
You just got to shrink that shit.
You got to shrink. Literally, you got to shrink that whatever gland in your brain is to make you like not feel that way. Like.
I wish it was that way. It makes sense. It makes sense. So the answer, Caleb, there's a book by Peter Levine called In an Unspoken Voice, How the Body Releases Trauma and Restores Goodness. Peter Levine is an amazing PhD, and his work on how the body holds on to trauma is in direct correlation to doing these therapies that he refers to, not as talk therapy, it is body therapy in conjunction with psychedelics or psychoactive substances. So my first suggestion is for people to do that kind of research about body work, trauma work, because when you do that, the first process that begins is to go right into your brain.
Right.
And one of the most difficult things for somebody with PTSD, especially if it's really severe or untreated, it can show up and look like 10 different things. Right. People are going to the doctor and getting all these other things treated when really it's down to one actual thing is there's this trauma that's not been dealt with.
Right.
It's the part of the brain was the amygdala. That's like the part of the brain that controls
Medulla
like,
oblongata.
no, not the medulla oblongata, just
Fucking
the,
water boy.
Just the oblongata.
yeah, the
Yeah.
amygdala. I think
The
is
amygdala.
Yeah.
There it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
There it is. The
Yeah,
amygdala.
it's like a real deep part of your brain. Like it's a real like primal part
Yeah.
that's just really in there. That it just it's like any other problem when you have like a problem with like a gland or something in your body. It's just like how it causes all these like random ass things that don't seem connected at all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like somebody is gaining immense amount of weight and can't figure out why.
Yeah.
And the truth is, the reason is that they're actually overeating to forget about thing A, thing B, thing C.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So also, there's a sort of like a second portion answer to what you said. So folks who are like, I can't afford trauma therapy.
Mhm.
It's expensive as hell. I don't
Right.
have it. The VA doesn't offer it. They only offer cognitive behavioral therapy, which you should do. Everybody should look at CBT, CBTI. You should understand what those things are, because if you go to a traditional counselor therapist as a civilian, that's what they're going to be giving you most likely.
Yeah.
Or some other bullshit thing they came up with. But the most commonly accepted thing, according to the DSM, is this CBT, this cognitive behavioral therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas on the other side, this trauma work is going to really engage the problem. It's really going to get into the body. It really works, but it's expensive as shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say that CBT thing probably just because it's really cheap. I mean, you just need like some paper and that's it.
Some paper and a doctor that'll sit for 55 hours with one human over a period of like 6 months. So if that's not what you're wanting to do and you can't afford it, I would encourage you, the individual, to go and find somebody you think has consumed a psychedelic or smokes a decent amount of cannabis.
Yeah.
And if you think that, you go to them and you say very plainly, I have this trauma. You may not have to share it, but you're like, I really want to experience this. I trust you. I wonder if maybe we could sit down just for an evening and I could consume a little and see what happens.
And that would be my biggest thing. If people, and again, we're not encouraging, but if you're going to go out and use it safely.
Please.
If you're going to use something that's going to alter your state of mind like that, the first time you do it with someone you trust who's going to be sober.
Correct.
Because they'll be able to calm you down from the freakouts.
People, I think another common misconception about like
don't do it in a fucking bar.
Yeah,
a
concert. No.
Don't do it at a buddy's
PTSD,
house.
Well, stuff with like PTSD and stuff. I mean, it doesn't have to be you're a fucking soldier overseas kicking in doors every day, or a cop or a firefighter. Right. Yeah, you could be in a car crash.
Yeah.
Or I mean, let's just get real honest. Have a really, really bad dad.
Right.
Yeah.
Or a crappy sister, or a dog bit you when you were 9.
Or witness your dog get run over in front of your house or something.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Yes. So as a soldier, as a veteran myself, I definitely think that PTSD is not just a problem for soldiers. Mm-hmm. It's a problem for all humans who have to exist around all these other upright bipedal Homo sapiens. They're maniacs. They're terrible sometimes.
Yeah.
They hurt
Life
people.
Happens, man.
Yeah, dude. It's terrible.
Yeah. For sure. No,
start small too, by the way, about the dosing.
Yeah.
Start small. Start at like 0.3 grams, and then 5 days later do 0.5, and then 7 days later do 0.8. And then when you feel comfortable, have somebody come that's going to stay sober and do 1.5 and see, step up to it. Don't go crazy. Don't eat the whole candy bar.
Yeah. That's the big
these
thing
people with their edibles, they just eat them.
Well, because edibles can take up to fucking 4 or 5 hours to kick in.
Especially these distillate ones, man.
Yeah.
They're getting in Colorado.
They can take up to 5 hours to kick in. People wait an hour. Oh, nothing's happened to me. I'll take another one. And then 3 hours later, they're fucking hanging over their balcony throwing up because they're freaking out.
They're in a 10-foot hole, just like
we've all
on
heard
their
the
couch.
Uncle Joey stories of where he's given somebody a chew and he shouldn't have, and he's changed the package, and it said 40, and really it was 400, and that person
that's cruel.
Finding the other side of their Jesus.
That's really cruel.
It is cruel. You should never do that.
Have you seen the 911 call with that cop?
Oh yeah, we're dead now. We're dead.
We're dying. I think we're dying.
Yep.
Like in the middle of him saying we're dying, he goes, "What's the score of the Ravens game?" That's what I'm concerned about when I'm dying.
What's the story of that? Did he like accidentally take drugs?
No, he confiscated them from someone he had pulled over in a traffic stop, but he didn't arrest them. He just took it.
Yeah.
And off the record kind of thing. And then him and his wife made it and ate it. And they'd never done it before. or maybe they had done it once, but they took way too much.
I think this is a case of the tyrant getting a taste of his own medicine. If you'll be honest. With
Yeah, absolutely. He had that fucking coming. He should.
I don't want to change the subject, but I can't think of a good segue.
No.
I want to talk about Ari Shafir's tweet.
Oh yeah.
Can we please?
We love
Yeah.
that.
Have we done that already?
Well versed in
We've
this.
gone
Yeah,
over it briefly.
Okay.
Let's talk about it with somebody else. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of it. I think it was wonderful.
Really?
Yeah.
I do. I think it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think it was fantastic for two reasons. Because it's an example of a very, very poor example, but a great at the same time example of freedom of speech.
Right.
It was beautiful. At the
Yeah.
same time, it managed to offend everyone, which I'm a huge Andy Kaufman fan. He
Yeah.
would just shit on the people in the audience and take hours of monologue about nothing
Yeah.
and just go crazy, and people hated it, but
Yeah.
except for like 3 people
Yeah.
in the audience who were like me, just guffawing, going, "Look at this guy! He's gonna do the thing," and then he does the thing.
Well-
and Ari Shafir does this with every celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a new thing.
No.
He's been this guy. He's a Jew that makes Holocaust jokes,
Right.
and it's awesome. And I think
Well,
he should keep doing it.
Ari, and I don't know if he did this on purpose, but he indirectly caused this. You have the social justice warrior types.
Right.
They now had to either side with Ari Shafir and the believe all women thing, or they had to not believe all women and attack Ari Shafir. And it put them in a really shitty place. They were very quiet about this. And I loved it because he shut them up indirectly. So
Any opportunity where you can turn individually idiotic people back in on themselves.
yeah,
is wonderful.
exactly.
It's just like
It's like a really good chess move. It's like either I lose my queen right here or I lose the rook. Like,
Yeah.
it's like the feminists who reject the transgender recently
Turned into a woman.
turned
Yeah,
into a
transition.
woman male. So
Right.
so Bill decided that he was a gal and came into the feminist organization. They said no.
Right.
You're a cisgender. You can't. But he's like, no, I identify as a woman. I mean, like,
Yeah.
and just to be clear and fair, he was not. I don't think he was like being honest. He was just trying to mess with him.
Who was this?
I don't know the individual's name. I heard about the article recently on CNN, and that there was a Fox article about it. Man tries to infiltrate feminists, but it's just an example of them turning in on themselves. It's like, this is exactly what many of the individuals who are in that organization called the Feminist Party, whatever that is, they're maniacs. They're crazy people
Right.
who say crazy things, and this is exactly what they have been asking for, and now they get it, and then they reject it. And that's a goofy thing.
I do worry a little bit about Ari because I wonder if he is a little unstable from time to time.
He
in his
is.
Behavior.
Sure
He's
he
a
is.
comedian. so,
Well,
I mean,
I think more unstable than the average comedian. Did you see where he drugged Bert Kreischer?
Yeah, that was kind of shit.
So Bert Kreischer had never done Molly before. And Molly is like one of those things where if like the next day you need to chill after you take it. And he had a fucking flight at like 8 o'clock that night.
And he did it in front of his kids.
Yeah, he drugged him in front of his kids.
And I don't think it was a big dose, but it was still a dose enough that he got high.
Well, Derek, you know Derek Pavelka?
Yeah.
So he actually he hung out with Bert that night, or like 2 days later after that had happened. He went to see him at the Funny Bone, and then they hung out. And he said, Bert was like, dude, Ari drugged me 2 days ago. I'm still fucked up. Like, he goes, I'm still feeling it. I'm still exhausted. I'm not right. Like,
dang.
yeah, I mean, that's just not cool. Like, you go back to the consent thing and stuff about,
there it is.
You know, it's,
consent.
You have to, that's, if someone did that to me, I'd probably never talk to him again. Like, that's
Probably
just not
not.
cool. If you give me something and you're like, and I voluntarily take it, and you're like, well, good fucking luck, and you're laughing at me, well, that's my fault. I'm an idiot. I took it. But if you slip it in my drink when I'm not looking, I'm probably going to fucking beat your face in the next time I see you.
I definitely don't think I would be happy at all.
No.
I could see it being funny. Like, okay, for instance, I got some friends who consume pretty large amounts of cannabis.
Right.
And so if I gave him a brownie with 20 milligrams of THC in it, that wouldn't make him be high beyond his ability to be able to function normally. It would just make him high. And that I would do that to a buddy. I'll be honest. But I would tell him after. I'm like, hey, that brownie you ate's got weed in it. Oh, you son of a bitch. I'll be high. How much was in it? 20 milligrams. Oh, that'll be cool. That'll help my back.
Yeah,
But
I wouldn't do that
you're
to
gonna
somebody.
be over in 6 hours.
I wouldn't do that to a stranger.
I wouldn't do that to somebody who had never done it before. Like,
Facebook, there you go.
Especially in front of their children.
Especially in front of their children when he had shit to do that night. That wasn't cool.
Yeah,
I agree. But I want to be fair. I did hear an explicit and clear apology from Ari.
Oh,
so
he did.
He apologized. He said I was messed up. I won't ever do that again. I'm sorry.
Are Ari and Bert like friends?
Oh
too?
yeah, they're friends.
Yeah,
now.
they're
yeah.
But
That's
his
what I
wife,
thought.
Bert's wife, still hates him.
Oh no,
I
they're
imagine
not
so.
they're
It's
not
well
friends.
deserved.
if I did that to Nick, I think his wife would hate me too. So.
Probably, yeah. I mean, it'd be well deserved if I did that to Caleb with something. I'm sure his girl would probably never talk. His mom would probably never talk to me again.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no, yeah, no, both of them. You'd probably be dead to both of them. So
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think all of this is a byproduct again, and I'm going to get back on my high horse here for just a second. It's a product of the fact that it's illegal.
right.
Like you wouldn't have this happening.
Mm-hmm.
I've never ever dosed somebody with alcohol.
Right. Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. I've never.
Not secretly. I mean,
Well, if
people
you-
definitely do get like, "Hey, take these shots, pussy." Like,
If you
Okay,
yeah,
okay, that's
there's that,
coercion for sure.
yeah.
But
There's-
I've never had somebody like that's water. Oh, sneak, it's vodka.
Yeah.
Like no,
Well, you'd
That'd
be
be
able to
really,
tell right
man.
away.
You'd have to be fucked up already to be able to confuse like
Oh, I
water
was-
with like a shot of
was so-
Jameson or something.
Really fucked up. I was so fucked up one time that I asked for a Captain and Coke, and the bartender gave me a Coke. And I was so messed up that night. I still knew that it was just Coke. Like you would have to be gone.
Yeah.
Speaking of Coke, do you think Coke should be legal?
Yeah, I think everything should be.
Everything.
Everything.
What about you, my friend, on the other side of the screen?
You know, like I'm not as extreme as Caleb is on these views, and we talk about it a lot. I don't know, because like on one end, like I do see places like Portugal and Switzerland that they make it.
And Denver.
And well, they like the stuff with like hard drugs is more what I'm concerned about, because I don't think that fucking marijuana or any like honestly even like maybe Coke isn't really all that bad when you get people that start trying to shoot up heroin and stuff, like those drugs that of where people are doing it and you're like without a doubt you're like that's kind of fucked up that we're doing it, like
Right.
So what is it about the needles? What like
I don't know.
I'm curious about that.
if somebody, maybe it's just the stigma to it, where it's like if somebody is like using like needles or something like that, or something, shooting up like heroin or something like that.
Meth.
Like, meth, smoking meth. You
can shoot meth. That's the gold standard.
Yeah.
Anything through a needle. Yeah.
It looks like like you ever seen a dab rig?
Well, there's no doubt in your head that doing that, like, it's highly addictive, and like, you know what I mean? Like it's going to lead down a path that's probably going to require some kind of intervention from somebody.
Okay,
Yeah.
I have to be the devil's advocate. Can I?
Yeah.
Yes, please. do.
So what about sugar? Because we see that we know for the facts that it's addictive. First of all.
Oh
Sugar,
yeah, I
caffeine,
agree with you
Caffeine
on
and
that
sugar.
100%.
I don't go up to homeboys who are drinking a bang in the gym with me and be like, dude, listen, for those of you who can't see, I put my hand on Caleb's shoulder. Listen, you need to listen, man. I don't know about this, dude. It's just like
maybe it's just like the immediacy of the harmful effects of
what
something.
if you could get heroin in a drink at CVS?
Right.
Would you still feel the same way about it?
Yeah, probably.
Well,
if it had
really?
the same effects, yeah.
Right.
If it had the
Really?
same effects, I think so. Yeah.
My thing with the drugs, with the legalization and everything is, and we talked about this when Chris Janicek, the candidate for Senate, was on here. Senate.
Mhm.
It's a new position there.
It's a new position, yeah. When he was on, and we talked with him about it, and basically my whole argument toward the drugs is when you go to the bar, right, and you go to get a shot of Jack, it's a shot of Jack. It's not this moonshine that's going to make you go blind.
Right.
When you go to the coke dealer, heroin, whatever your drug of choice is, you don't know what you're getting. You may trust the guy. He may say this is what you're getting. You're not 100% sure that's not laced with fentanyl and going to kill you, because there's no way to check on what's going on. You can't, it's not legal, so everything goes to the black market. So that's my stance on the drugs.
I have like a very complicated opinion on it, because I'm like, I don't know if it should necessarily be legal, but I don't think motherfuckers should be going to jail for shooting up stuff.
Non-violent, yeah, no.
Yeah, when they got on it, probably because they like got addicted to painkillers or something, or had some other kind of thing. Like I don't believe that most people that become like meth addicts or something do it just because they're like, oh, I just want to be addicted to meth.
They didn't start on meth, no.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's usually
Well,
pills. Usually pills.
Again, I'm by no means attempting to be intentionally pedantic. But I think that it's important to bring up the idea that recreational usage of cannabis has increased since its normalization.
Yeah.
And as we normalize things like mushrooms and MDMA,
Mhm.
those two things become much more common. In fact, if you do some research about the Silicon Valley and the resurgence of LSD microdosing among young, rich, millionaire executives,
Yeah.
it's through the roof.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean,
Silicon Valley. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's all anecdotal evidence right now,
Mhm.
but it's proven that this stuff is helpful.
Yeah.
I could, yeah, and that kind of stuff like MDMA and everything. I think it goes along with alcohol, right? Like alcohol is legal, like something like fentanyl is like the most extreme version we have right now of it, right? That'd be like
For
comparing
now.
to, well, that'd be like
There's
comparing
actually
to
car
alcohol.
fentanyl.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be like comparing like with alcohol right now as somebody going to the bar and just drinking like a fucking shot of Everclear or like moonshine or something. And like I know maybe like 2 people. I've seen a bottle of moonshine like only in the military, and I've seen it maybe like 3 times. And like people are
Right.
drinking it as like the joke, as like the meme, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
But like people aren't just going out and drinking moonshine
But you know why though? I believe
because it's
because they have a
normalized.
safe alternative.
Yeah, because there's
because
beer in there.
they can go to the Five and Dime and get a quart. There's no problem. Like they can get their booze.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And like Caleb mentioned earlier, they know it's booze.
Mhm.
yeah,
and,
exactly.
You know, like I drink. I prefer, because I'm a man with a beard. I like a porter stout. I like an imperial stout. I like a dark beer. I like a high percentage.
because I'm a man with a beard.
I don't like I don't like any of that IPA shit. I don't want to eat grass with my beer. I don't want to eat straw. I don't want to taste. It tastes like cow shit. It's terrible. I
think those real dark porters and stuff just taste like you're eating, like drinking like water with pennies in it.
Yes.
Right.
Now, see, that's a shitty
Yeah.
stout. That rusty taste is a shit. That's a Guinness.
Yeah.
Those taste terrible. Guinness is garbage.
It
Oh,
all tastes
definitely.
like that to me.
But you get like a hot cocoa one, or like
Mhm.
a chocolate stout, or that Brickway one at the backline's pretty good.
You ever have what's infusion?
Oh yeah.
I love infusion. Vanilla bean, I could live off of it.
Yes.
I couldn't get
That
drunk
stuff's
off of it. 3 of them, I'm full.
I
I
need
can't even
that
eat.
and a quart of the coffee ice cream from Trader Joe's, and I'm good.
Good for the
Maybe
day.
Well,
a half
you
ounce
see-
of cannabis.
We'll get into beer discussion. I'm an IPA drinker. I love IPAs.
Are you really? I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, well, like
How long have you hated beer?
dude, like
Most of your life, or just
if you're
just
talking
hating?
about hating on IPAs, I feel like people just hate on IPAs like people hate on
Craft
like-
beers.
like people, well, no, maybe like people hate on like I don't want to say
Starbucks.
Nickelback because Nickelback really
Starbucks.
does suck.
Nickelback is terrible.
Starbucks.
Coldplay.
People that are like
People hate
that are
on
like,
IPA for the same reason that people hate on Coldplay.
They suck.
I don't like Coldplay either. That's a bad
I think-
example.
Yeah.
I don't
Like,
want Coldplay to die, but I definitely wouldn't be upset if they got into a
Nicolas
car
Oh my
Cage,
god.
maybe?
I don't want them to die. I mean, I just like if all of their equipment could go into a car accident, I'd be okay. No, but I don't want anybody to get hurt.
I'm like curious, like how many IPAs you've drank, man.
I've had a lot. I've had quite a few. My friend works at a brewery, and he's a
Hmm.
hotbed, and he's all into the things, and tells me he brings me a new craft every couple days, and he's like, try this and try that, and I get this wheatgrass nasty ass green bean. Canned green beans is what they all taste like to me.
Do you know what the
Canned
worst
green
is
beans.
though?
Cold.
Yeah.
green beans.
The worst is the people that brew their own.
Oh my god.
And then you go over to their house and they like expect you to drink it, and you feel pressured to sit there and drink this nasty shit. That
I've
tastes like
luckily
3-day-old
never
bitter
been
coffee.
around that before.
Really?
It
Yeah, I've
happens
never been around
everywhere
that.
around here,
Mhm.
incessantly,
Yeah.
constantly.
Yeah, there's a big brewing community here in Omaha. It's a big, but yeah, they make their own home microbrew.
You know what
And-
rhymes with brewing? Brewing. And you know what rhymes with brewing is douchebag. There's a lot of douchebags. They smoke pipes. They fucked up pipe smoking.
Yeah.
I love
They
pipe
smoke
tobacco.
pipes.
Oh yeah, it's called
Yeah.
lunting. Lunting. Google that, Jazz.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. Lunting. Walking around while smoking a pipe.
Yeah.
And
Well-
then they have smoking parlor now at Jake's. So
Yeah.
you can
I love
go and
Jake's.
go and have
love
a
Jake's.
pipe tobacco and drink a dark ale
Yeah.
like
Well,
a man.
Well, you.
I'm sorry, I'm joking.
Well,
You're a man.
Well, we'll like
I mean,
to
I
go
don't know
to
how you
places.
identify.
We'll like to go to places and like smoke cigars.
Yeah.
and just
Yes.
have like a real like
Like a
like an
heavier
IPA
beer,
or
right.
something. Yeah, I mean IPAs are heavier. They just
Do
got a lot of-
IPAs go with
Mhm.
A cigar.
I maybe
I like it.
I like
don't know. I'm a
them.
I feel like
trailblazer,
that would be
though.
like drinking a Sprite with a steak. I'd be like,
As
"What the
opposed-
fuck
as
is wrong
opposed
with
to a-
you? Have
as
a red
opposed to,
wine,
like-
you animal."
As opposed to drinking like a stout, it's just like black,
Oh,
like
God.
oil, man.
I feel like I
don't
can
like it.
I can feel my body getting harder all over as I think about a big porter with a dark steak and a smell of a pipe smoke, like a pipe smoldering in the ashtray. Oh my God.
That's
I can hear the sizzle of the steak.
Yeah, it's
Mashed
probably
potatoes
made by
are
somebody taking the ash from that pipe and putting it into the drink, and that's how they made the fucking porter.
we've got a beef over beers here.
It's funny you mentioned beef.
Very,
I said
Yeah.
steak, yeah. Very rarely do we get into heated debates on the show and
Heated.
IPAs.
Both steak references.
Yeah.
Rare and heated, yeah, that's true. We're just talking about steak. That actually does sound really good right now.
I do.
Well, imagine people having this discussion over like fucking heroin or something.
They do. No way,
Yeah.
man. It's
No way, man. Meth is way better like this.
Black tar is where it's at.
You know what? I honestly think that if it was normalized, what we would see is we would see commercially created cocaine
Yeah.
where you can get it prescribed,
Yeah.
or you can go to a head shop and purchase it. Which, by the way, head shops, I encourage every human being to go and support their local head shop.
Yeah.
Why? Because they're last remnants of the stand against prohibition,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll be the first ones to have their damn dispensary. They're all on the cutting edge. A lot of these bigger head shops around in Omaha,
Yeah.
they're right next to being a dispensary.
Yeah.
They sell CBD flower, they sell isolate dabs, rigs, they sell everything. It's basically a dispensary with no weed.
We'll be one of the last, if not the last
You,
states.
you
to
really
Yeah.
think that, dude?
Yes,
the governor?
You're pessimistic, Caleb.
absolutely.
with the governor. I
No,
think we
come
will.
on. Look, we are so close. Look at how Colorado went.
Yeah.
It was all CBD, and then it was CBD billboards, and then it was CBD this, and then it went
Yeah.
medical only in Denver County, and then it went out, and
Okay.
medical went out.
We're
and
still one of the like last of the 3 states that haven't made it like medical illegal.
we're
So I'm like,
decriminalized.
Well,
We're one of the few states who's
in Omaha,
decriminalized.
Omaha, yeah. If you go into Sarpy, they'll be assholes about it.
Mhm.
But the state's decriminalized,
Yeah.
and they can mess with you. You're right,
Yeah.
and it isn't. It isn't illegal. I mean, it's not legal, is what I mean.
Right. Yeah.
It's still a crime, but it's a civil infraction according to the state statute.
Yeah.
So that means they take, if I have 27 grams of cannabis flower on me, they take the flower, they give me a ticket, and they send me on my way.
Yeah. You're not going to go
Well,
to
shit.
jail for it.
10 minutes north of here, New Mexico just made it legal recreationally. So you
Oh,
don't even
really?
have to worry about that up there. Yeah.
Really?
That's it. Yeah.
Well, that's Nebraska's coming to a very interesting spot. You know,
Missouri right now too.
Missouri. So we've got Iowa. It's going to be legal within a year or two,
What?
recreationally.
Really?
Guaranteed Iowa.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we already got Colorado to the west. We've got both borders pretty soon. People are just going to have to drive across, and we're just going to get fucked by it.
I
Did you
just
hear-
don't. Yeah, I don't understand it too because Nebraska really does have like a people like they need to get more people into Nebraska.
The farmers all want it.
Yeah,
they do.
dude.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They all want it, man. They support it. Every conservative. I used to work for a farm co-op, and I drove milk twice a week for over the winter time. Pardon me. And dude, every single person that you would walk up to, that they have big Trump signs in their yard, they have big flags waving, they're playing country music in their trucks, and you walk up and you say, how do you feel about cannabis? And they say, shit, man, that should be illegal. That should be, nobody gives a shit what people are smoking. I ain't never seen a lazy hippie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? They're like, no, you're a hippie, right? And I'm wearing flip-flops. I smell like a grow house. I'm wearing a Bob Marley shirt. My dog's on a hemp leash attached to my hemp jeans. I guess I am a hippie. How'd you know? The patchouli oil.
Well, but yeah, no, it's
So
Like you said,
I wonder about like Missouri, because right now they don't have any dispensaries, and they just passed a bill that said that you can now carry your own personally acquired cannabis.
Oh,
in
really?
Missouri.
and they won't shake you down for where you got it.
No, they can't do it because if you have a patient card. So if you get a patient card and you're buying black market weed in Missouri, you're legal.
Yep, I actually knew that. My friend was at a Chiefs game not too long ago,
That's
and he
weird.
said they were lighting up in front of the cops and they couldn't do shit. Yep.
Hell yeah, that's
Crazy.
the goal. That's the ultimate goal.
Here in
So-
Omaha, we just we go on a walk around the block downtown, and there's a little cop shop down there. So it's about half a mile, which for those of you that have never consumed a cannabis blunt is the colloquial term of BLUNT. It's like a little bit of tobacco mixed with a little bit of cannabis together with a wood tip on it. It tastes amazing if you've never had it. Again, I'm not encouraging it, but if you were going to consume it, it's a great way to do it. And if you were in Omaha, one of the best places to do it is walking right around that little cop shop on Capitol Street.
The funny thing about Omaha, because I know quite a few police officers in Omaha,
Okay,
is the street
don't
cops.
care.
They don't give a shit. They don't
Nope,
give
they
a
don't
shit,
care.
dude. They don't want to do the paperwork. They're like, I don't care, man. If they catch somebody carrying around, let's tell them to throw it out and go on.
Most of them.
Most
That's
of them,
not
yes.
90% of them.
Yes.
There
Then
are
you get
some.
the 1%, like the guy on New Year's Eve who pulled a gun on me for walking out of a bar with an open container.
That's just
I
a shitty
understand I
cop.
broke the law,
Yeah.
not punishable by death.
That's like a shitty doctor that, like, prescribes you fucking opioids for a toothache.
Oh, have you seen that documentary on Netflix, The Pharmacist?
Mm-mm.
Have you seen that?
Nope.
So this guy was a pharmacist, and his kid got killed going across. It was in a smaller town. His kid got killed going across. There's like a street. It's basically a black and white segregated part of town. So he went into the black area. He was going to buy OxyContin, and he got killed in a drug deal. So this pharmacist started noticing that this doctor was prescribing just ridiculous amounts of OxyContin. And every person that came to see her, they'd be 10-minute visit. They'd get their OxyContin prescription, go out, and then go to the pharmacy. And this woman was basically creating like a pipeline for the OxyContin industry, and just copious amounts of it being sold. It's actually super interesting. It's like 5 parts. We watched.
Was she getting paid by OxyContin or something?
Oh, she was making. Yeah, she was making money. It was Purdue Pharmacy, and yeah, she was basically on the cut. And yeah,
well, that's why Purdue Pharmacy got that huge lawsuit against them.
That's what it's about. Yeah,
The Wild Whites of West Virginia. Have you
I've heard of it. Yeah,
that is a lot about the same thing.
Really?
About the drug use, addiction. These families are destitute, and they go, like you said, they have these things in Florida. They have these things called pain clinics.
Yeah.
Where they just go in and they get a prescription, and it's just basically boom, 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 and they have one-stop shop. It's like all in a strip mall. It's terrible.
It's like,
and I believe those things exist as a result, and directly correlated to, symbiotically related to, the prohibition on substances.
Well,
previously mentioned.
illegal or legal or not, if somebody's out there just telling you need to take that shit for anything, like, it's gonna create a huge problem. Even if it was legal, and I go in there with a fucking a hangnail and they give me OxyContin.
That was basically that extreme. Yeah. My finger hurts. Here's some OxyContin.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not one of those everything Big Pharma does is bad. I think, like, I've had tooth procedures done. And when you get a tooth yanked, if you get a dry socket, you're going to want some hydrocodone to put you the fuck to sleep. Like, that's like blow your head off pain. I've had an exposed nerve on a tooth before. And I don't know if you guys ever had one of those exposed nerve.
It's terrible.
It's horrible. People kill themselves over it. Like, I had a friend who had just had a wisdom tooth surgery. He brought me some Valium so I could go to sleep that night. Like, I understand there is a need for it. It's just way overprescribed.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's bad.
For that, I would encourage someone to consider what's called FICO.
What's that?
Which is full extract cannabis oil. Often comes in a little food syringe.
Okay.
It's like a full spectrum. So they don't just use the buds of the plant.
Mm-hmm.
They use the stalk and the root system as well. And they soak it in Everclear and then strain it and then pull all the alcohol out. And what you're left with is this black. It's actually green. But
does it get you high, or does it just?
Oh, it gets you exceptionally high.
Oh, okay.
However, it's fully activated. And so
shit, so do hydrocodone. So
exactly.
Yeah, so does hydrocodone. Yeah.
That's a good point. But you can take it and you can, like, squirt it into the joint. I had a really bad tooth.
Oh, really?
And I was in Colorado at the time, and I was able to actually go buy it at a dispensary.
Oh, okay.
Squirt it in there. And, I mean, it does make you high, but it relieves the pain instantly, and it was amazing.
It probably, like, after taking it for 3 days, it probably doesn't make you start having the chills and sweats and stuff, like if you're trying to get off hydrocodone.
Man.
Well, I mean, I'll go in and get because that's part of the problem. I'll go in and because I had bad teeth for a long time. So I'll go in and I'll get a filling, and they'll be like, "You want us to prescribe you hydrocodone for the pain?" I'm like, "Fuck no, I don't need hydrocodone for a filling or, like a pulled tooth or something like that." Like, I understand, like, but no, it's but there's people that'll do that, and they'll go in and get those dental procedures done just so they can get the pills. Like, that's kind of how sick they are.
At the peak, I was taking 15 prescriptions from the VA at one time.
Holy fuck.
And when I came off of them, one of the first things I did was started to use cannabis.
Really?
And it was illegal as hell, and I was terrified. It was like, and I am actually in most senses, I was a pretty straight edge guy.
Right.
I carried a firearm with me everywhere I went.
Mm-hmm.
I generally wore a button up shirt. I always wore the same 511 different colored pants. I was a pretty, traditionally conservative. I grew up as a conservative, Republican, Christian, evangelical, very pro-life position, very country, Nebraska redneck kind of, you know. And then I almost died. I fell in the bathroom. I was on the last drug they put me on was Prazosin. And it was like a blood pressure medication adjuster. Yeah. And I got up to pee in the middle of the night and fell over and blacked out and hit my head on the toilet.
Jesus Christ.
I was almost dead. And my wife, she's like, this is it. We're done. We're doing something different. And that's where we started researching, mood stabilizers and painkillers and sleep aids, ashwagandha, holy basil, kava kava. We get our stuff from Gaia Herbs, but anywhere you get it, it's natural, it's good, it's helpful. And it takes adjusting, and it's hard because it doesn't work like the pills do. Like the pills,
you get withdrawals from the pills.
Oh God, dude, the withdrawals were horrific.
Yeah, but withdrawals for pills are like the worst thing.
But the results are like, holy shit, I'm not a slave anymore. I'm my own person. Now, what that means is I have to make sure I take the right stuff all the time. I can't, I want to recreationally consume cannabis, but I recognize that its impact on me psychologically means that I need to use it more medicinally. Right. So that means dosing it out and adjusting how I'm using it so that, because I have 6 children at home and I don't intend to break the law at home, and I don't intend to break the law out and about because I'm a law abiding citizen. And that means that when I'm around my kids, I don't intend to break the law ever.
Right.
And so
they can throw some shitty charges at you if they catch you with
absolutely
high with your kids.
Absolutely.
Right?
Not just high, but if they think that you have weed at your house or they think, so there's never ever been weed at my house ever. Right. But CBD, we've definitely shown them what it is. We've never allowed them to consume it, but they understand what it is. And when weed becomes legal, cannabis, THC,
right,
they definitely will understand its benefits. They will know it as medicine, as they do any other root that grows. By the way, for those of you that are listening in another state, perhaps, that has never visited Nebraska in the spring or the summer or the fall or any time other than winter, there's weed that grows everywhere.
Oh yeah, everywhere.
It's native very fertile to the ditches and the railroads.
Very fertile. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's CBD. I had
farmers spray against it, by the way.
I was getting for the longest time, because I told you off camera in the audience, so I'm a hypochondriac, and then it was bad stress. Like, if you ever had ice pick headaches,
yes,
they're debilitating.
Yes,
they don't last long, but they're debilitating. I was on
somebody's like this, like.
Oh yeah, it feels like they're just stabbing you. Have you ever had one, Nick?
No, I haven't.
So the reason they get the name is because it feels like someone's stabbing you in the side of the head with an ice pick.
So terrible.
It's horrible. It's the worst kind of headache you can have, other than like a brain tumor. But I got on CBD, gone after a week. I didn't have another one. It's fucking crazy.
That's crazy. So. And people say it's snake oil. There's people who I know, and here's why. It's because you're buying it at the gas station.
Right.
That's why.
Yeah.
You can buy fucking ibuprofen at the gas station too. So.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You can overdose on that. You should look up the stats on the numbers of persons that die on ibuprofen and acetaminophen.
Not just overdosing. Our video cut out, didn't it? Audio's still working. So
the audio's still working, but I just see Tim there like touching his head.
Perfect. That'll be the still for the video.
Yeah, I see Tim like looking at you, touching his head like with the ice pick, and then I see Caleb looking at Tim. Very concerned. I'm gonna print screen it.
We're off camera. We're good.
Stop, Caleb. No, put it back.
Well, ibuprofen's been linked to a lot of like organ failure for people that take it regularly for headaches. It's not harmless, aspirin's a blood thinner. Just like for head. I've had times where I've taken aspirin for a headache and I fucking whacked my finger and it just gushed blood.
You just got one ball out.
We have some people that listen only audio, so this is like a normal
moved the
thing.
camera so that nobody could see it, and he asked me off mic if he sat in some gum, and I said no. He didn't sit any gum, Caleb. That's your testimony. And then he laughed like he's laughing right now.
And here we are. Oh my
Oh
god.
fuck!
Check
Sorry.
us out every Tuesday night at the back line.
Yeah. Well,
That's
we've
a-
been going for a little over
You'll
an
be
hour
on.
now.
You'll be on
so-
my show on the 14th.
I'm
Pie
excited.
Fest, American Dream / the Hangout. It's free to get in.
I also want to promote a show that I was just recently added to, Babes in Joyland on March 17th at the back line.
Oh, Brooks show.
Yeah, Brooks show.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
So I'm doing my best to tell these jokes. I still haven't decided if I actually am a comedian or not, but folks tell me I am. So
You
I
just keep doing it,
just
man.
keep doing it.
Well, yeah, that Babes in Joyland's a great show because I mean it gives a lot of people it's usually most people's first show. Obviously,
Nice.
it won't be yours because you were on the one we did at Wired, but
I'm
yeah,
excited.
it's that's a cool show because it gives people a chance to get out there in front of an actual audience, not just a bunch of comics who are there for themselves. So
Yeah, exactly.
Which is tough. I mean, it's tough doing jokes to people who just got done doing jokes to people who just got done doing jokes.
and that's the other thing. Open mics we've talked about this before. They can get really discouraging because you work
Yeah.
on the same material over and over again, and people don't laugh when they've heard it 8 times.
Right.
you know?
Open mics are honestly, I think, tougher than doing actual shows.
Oh,
so,
way tougher. People at
Yeah.
shows come to laugh.
Yeah.
Well, because I did 2 shows Thursday night. I did Tyler Walsh's show, Good Shit Comedy, and then I hosted the next one. We called it Last Second Laughter because I literally had a day to promote it. We had 3/4 of the venue full though, so it was pretty dope. There were in the first show though, there were 3 people. None of them, I don't think, laughed at anything. It was kind of brutal. Like I was like one of those audiences like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, right.
Like, so, do you have anything you want to plug before we?
Yes.
Don't tell people to use drugs.
No, don't use drugs.
Yeah.
Go to timothylocklear.com. I have an archive of some podcasts I've done, some data that I put out there, some graphic design stuff, some different things. There's also links to Veterans for Natural Rights. I'm a communications director for that nonprofit. And just a quick seconds about them. We exist basically as an entity to help veterans and obviously individuals who have served as police officers, law enforcement, get access to data, information, and then resources. So we take basically what that boils down to is we take veterans out on hikes. We sit and discuss problems. We connect them with VA resources. I'm a rated disabled veteran, and so because of that, I've had a lot of experiences with the VA and what not to do and what to do. And so we obviously try to help veterans as best as we can. Second thing is Boris the service dog. I don't have my dog with me today because he's retired. Because of all the natural stuff I took, I got a lot better. I do jiu-jitsu as well, and it helps my mind and my body. And but for a long time, I didn't have those tools or was still trying to manage them. And Boris was with me for almost 4 years as a working animal. So go to Boris the service dog on Facebook, Instagram, and find out about what a service dog can do. If you see one out in public, don't pet it. Don't look at it. In fact, what you probably should do is just leave the handler alone. They don't give a shit about you.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk to you. They're not there because of you. And if they have their dog and the dog is acting friendly enough that you would want to pet it, that dog needs trained better. And the way you can help that dog get trained better is by turning around and leaving the dog alone. If it's wearing a vest, okay. But if it's not wearing a vest and it's a pet, clearly walk up and do the pet thing. I love pets. But one of the most difficult things that we had as a handler was when individuals would come up and try to be friendly and do the puppy dog. It's so pretty. I'm like, hey, asshole, I'm here to buy screws and not see you. So leave me alone. Comma, go away. And I had the dog for a variety of different mental issues. I had stability issues, but one of them was definitely social anxiety. And so individuals walking up was tough. That's the only 2 things I'll plug. Veterans for Natural Rights, Boris the Service Dog, timothylocklear.com. Also, I'm super duper grateful for you 2 letting me come on.
Definitely. We'll have to have you, man.
It's awesome having you on, man.
Great show.
I'm
Yeah.
grateful.
He's giving you an air shake through the camera right now.
Air shake. Let's do a Wi-Fi. Here we go.
I actually you guys can't see me either what I'm doing.
I can.
We can see you. Yeah, your video's still going. I just saw that ours
definitely
froze.
Oh, good, man. I should put my dick away.
Yeah,
then.
put it away real quick. Put it away.
I should, yeah.
Yeah, wait, pants. Shit.
I haven't been wearing pants this whole time. Who am I kidding?
So are we still live too?
We're still going.
That's
Yeah,
Yeah, we're still
going.
live.
Let's see what else. Check out Maps.
It's
MAPS.
MAPS.
yeah.
I googled it.
MAPS.
Yep.
Let's see. Read that Michael Pollan book and read that Peter Levine book.
Yeah.
Check those out.
Yep. Go buy CBD. That's all.
Yeah, CBD. Oh, can I plug the place where I buy it?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Leavenworth Coffee. My friend Mike is the owner. It's on 31st and Leavenworth, 30th and Leavenworth. It's amazing. It's spelled COUGHY. You can buy non-cannabis flower. So it's CBD flower, contains no THC. They have edibles, vapes, wraps. They're pretty amazing. Support your local economy # things.
Yeah. The one right across the street from my apartment, they've got like supposedly the cheapest CBD in town. I don't know.
Is that what they say
Caterpillar
on their sign? I don't
That's what
remember.
front of their
CBD
fucking store
wow.
says. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't
Natural
remember.
Grocers is selling it now. So
Are they?
yeah,
The only
we got
place
the
I
big billboard
remember-
on Dodge.
I want to
only
get my
place-
dog on it.
Yeah, your dog.
They make CBD treats for dogs.
That's
Oh,
a
yeah,
meme
they
right
do.
there, gentlemen. That's a meme.
What, dog treats? Or?
Yeah, you never heard of that? I gave my dog CBD,
Oh.
and now
Now he's listening to Joe Rogan and won't shut the fuck up about it. Yeah.
about CrossFit or something.
Yeah.
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 That's I don't know.
I guess I could plug jujitsu too. For those of you that don't do jujitsu, you should.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should find a human and put them in their pajamas and then try to choke them. And then when you achieve that goal, then you stop and then let them try to choke you. And you just do it back and forth. And you get serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine. Physical contact is good for humans. Break your personal bubbles, folks. Don't be a bitch.
That's right.
Yeah, go to the bus and just sit really uncomfortably close to somebody and just like, brush up against them and
Find the
stuff.
largest African American you can and sit on his lap.
Yeah.
Please.
There you go.
And say, I'm not racist, and then sit right on his lap.
That's
But right before you say it, look around and be like, I'm not racist, but sit right on his lap. He's like, you motherfucker. I mean, the stereotype what a black guy would sound like, but if he found a big, large
That's
African
probably
American,
what
he'd
it
be
sounds
"You
like.
mother-" I don't know. He's probably like a really nice preacher who, sir, would you please get off of my lap?
Excuse me, sir. Can you please get off of me?
Day in the life of Little John from the Dave Chappelle show.
Yeah.
I caught that reference
Little
there.
John,
Oh, shit.
Oh, man.
All right, you guys. Thank you, guys. I
That
gotta
was
get rolling
fun.
here. That was
Yeah.
fun as fuck. Yeah, we got to do it again, man.
See it, Tim. I can't see it right now. I just see you going like this. But
Yep,
That's what I want you to see, isn't it?
All right, punk bitches. Peace the fuck out.
Doses.